Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. In this video, in less than 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how to save 5 years of your life and all the misery that would have came with it by simply learning how to properly delegate. And even if you're starting out, you don't have all the money in the world, I'm going to show you how to do this and eventually scale to a massive business and a better life. So number one is we got to figure out, where are you spending your time now that isn't actively truly growing your business? What I find is most entrepreneurs are unbelievably creative and talented, but they're spending their time, energy, and focus on the wrong tasks. So a key thing that you can do that takes less than 5 minutes is write out on a sheet of paper or the notes of your phone every action that you take that isn't high leverage, isn't your natural skill set, or doesn't bring large amounts of capital into your business. In each one of those steps, I want you to write next to it the amount of hours that you spend and total it up. For most people, it's going to equate to anywhere between 15 to even as much as 40 plus hours in a week that you're spending on things that actually don't help your business. Second is you're going to leverage AI and you're going to put together the step-by-step SOP, standard operating procedure, for each one of those things. The more that you include now, the less training and coaching and management you're going to have to do on the back end. So while this takes time, if you could knock out all of these things in a Saturday or Sunday, you spend 5-6 hours doing it, it will save you thousands, not hundreds, thousands of hours that you can redirect towards things that actually make you happy and things that actually grow your business. This is good to show videos, Loom videos, screenshots, links. Act like you're literally training a robot. Okay, now 3, next you're gonna hire a virtual assistant or an admin that can take over all of these tasks that we don't want you doing as a CEO. I look at every business owner and CEO like I would a star player on a basketball, NBA, or football team, all right? If we're not getting them the ball, their headspace is not right, and they aren't prepared, no matter how talented they are, our team is not going to be as good. So if we're looking at you as a star player, the most capabilities, the most talented, the most focused, but we're spending time sending emails, doing onboarding calls, reaching out to 500 people a day, your business just isn't going to be as successful. And no matter how good you are, even if you're 10 times better than the next company, you will get beat by a team. And so we want to hire a virtual assistant. You can find, there's a company called We Clone You that's really good. I don't even have affiliation with them. I just recommend it. But you can also just Google search and find someone, and you can cut your costs because of the way the currency change is different. You could hire someone for $4 to $5 an hour that will work as good or better than anybody that you would hire in America or the EU or Australia or Canada. And what you do, or you can find an admin that either works for you currently or that you hire directly. It would cost more, but you would see a return. And you would delegate all of these tasks to. Now remember, you've already created SOPs. So all I would recommend to make sure they're fully prepared is just simply not only train them, go through the interviewing process, but have them shadow you on all of those tasks for 1 to 2 weeks until they're fully automated. Meaning it is a rare occurrence, something went wrong, something crazy happened for them to need you. Okay? Now you just gained back how much? 20 to 40 hours saved right there. So without doing anything and barely increasing your costs, you just gave the most important, most valuable, talented person in your organization, which is you, 20 to 40 plus hours back per week. Now think about this. Energy is finite. So if you just saved 120 to 160 hours in a month, all that energy is going to have to be redirected somewhere. This is where I see entrepreneurs, without even doing anything different, their business gets better because now they have that creativity and energy that they can reallocate towards actually growing their business. Okay. And that's where we're going to take this and we're going to reallocate it towards high growth levers. This is how you change your life, your business's life, your family's life, and everyone associated with it. Okay, so let's go to step 2. You've delegated your mundane task that nobody likes to do, and then you're going to identify the largest levers in your business. For each one of you guys, this is a different lever, and each one has a different level of importance. So this is where right now, as you're listening to this, write down, what are my business's greatest levers? I'm going to write down a few examples that it may be. Number 1, it could be sales. Okay, for example, my first company is residential solar business. We've done over 50 million in sales. And year 1 to year 2, everyone was telling me I needed all of these automations and tech and this and that. But when I dove and analyzed my business, I realized the simplest answer is what I needed to double my business. I needed to double the sales reps and double my leads rep. And that's all I needed to do. And yes, we improved our tech, but the tech did not improve our sales. What improved our sales was doubling my sales force, recruiting like crazy, getting the necessary lines of credit, and managing my cash flow the right way, and knowing my numbers so I could double my company sales. You're in real estate. This is important. Okay, if you have a big tech company, but you've built a great software, but you need to get to more people, you're going to have to improve your sales processes. Next is engineering, right? This is not for every company, obviously, but anything that is related to tech or anything that you're building and creating, engineering is going to be massive. So if you're bringing on the best engineers, you're working with them, you're building the best product possible, this is huge. There's why you look at Elon. He doesn't really focus too much on sales. He focuses on marketing, recruiting, and building the products and the focus and the vision of the organization. Next is partnerships. Okay. One great partnership could alter the course of your entire business. Hey guys, if you're an entrepreneur, business person, or you just want to grow as an individual, I just started a private business community that has over 200 different entrepreneurs from a multitude of different industries. We have weekly live calls with Q&As. We have over 20 different master classes that break down sales, marketing, finance, operations, branding, social media, you name it, as well as guest speakers and the ability to network and grow your career. If you want to have a massive, massive year, this is every single little thing that I've learned over building an 8-figure business, building a massive following on social media, and working with entrepreneurs all over the world. If you guys would like to join, I want to give it to you for free for 7 days just for listening to this podcast. Click the link below and get set up. Look forward to seeing you guys there. I told a story recently. I just gave a speech at South by Southwest in Austin. I talked about there was one lady that I met when I was working for another company. They ended up getting a job and bridging together a partnership that I ended up doing with the company she worked for, which caused my company, the first one I was talking about, to do over 50 million in sales with this business. And without that partnership, we would have probably done half. And so you never know what one great relationship can cause, right? Next is recruiting, right? A CEO, for example, one of the best recruiters ever was a guy named Steve Jobs. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He created the best company ever, Apple. One of his first hires was Tim Cook, who is now, even though Steve Jobs is no longer alive, has built Apple into the number one or number 2 most valuable company on earth and is now worth over $3 trillion. So a decision that Steve Jobs made when he was alive back in the early 2000s has now equated to over $3 trillion in market cap, and he's not even alive. Steve Jobs is still winning even though he's not alive. That's what you call a business genius. That's why you need to spend time hiring incredible people who are better than you. Next is marketing. All right. Each business is different, but I tell this all the time. Anytime I talk to realtors, I tell them, you are not in the sales business. You are in the marketing business. The best marketers win in real estate, not the best salespeople. Okay. The more people that know about you, the more people that know about your listings, or the more deals that you are going to have. If you think about Ryan Serhant, the Altman brothers, you think about all the $1 million listing people, why are they the biggest realtors in the country and in the world? It's because most people know that. I'm sure there's other people that are just as good at sales as they are, but not enough people know. The next is raising capital. Obviously, this is not for everybody, but if you do need to raise capital, the CEO and potentially the CFO needs to be focusing on this. This can alter the course of your business. And then last is massive deals. Okay, any massive deal, typically the CEO is going to be involved. And a simple way to look at what makes the deal massive is that one deal could increase your entire company's revenue or multiply that with one outcome. Meaning you're doing $1 million a year and one deal suddenly turns you on a path to be $10 million business. That's stuff that you need to be focusing as a CEO. Okay. Next is how are you spending your time in detail? A key metric to look at, and this is actually a low output example, but each meeting should have at least a 1 to 10 minimum output. A simple way to do this is if you were giving one training a week and you have 5 salespeople on there that are working 40 hours a week, that means that 1 hour equates to 200 hours of output. So for example, if you're giving an hour-long training to 5 sales reps, that's 1 hour of your time that equates to 200 hours of sales output because of that meeting. You're meeting with engineers. and you want to make a couple different changes, and it's 2 engineers that's going to work, let's say, 15 hours each. That means that 1 hour of output equates to 30 hours of output. Does that make sense? So you need to have a ripple effect of output due to the time that you spend, because you're one person. You don't have enough time to compete with these people. So you have to have intelligent people, give them direction, give them the necessary resources, and then get out of their way. Okay, 2, focus on the most important problems. Anytime as a CEO, I start worrying about operational things, small, tiny issues, tiny people problems, things that don't actually massively scale the company, it is a red alert. And I look myself in the mirror and go, what the hell are you thinking about, Grant? I don't want you to do the same, okay? I've learned from this so much and it's altered my life. Focus only on the most important problems that everybody else can handle. And I'm going to talk about problem solving here in a second because I think it relates to all of these things. And then last, this is so important. Teach people to think for themselves. If you do not do this, the amount of hours that you will have to spend answering calls and questions will go through the roof. My first year in management and my first year as CEO, I kid you not, I would get 30 freaking calls a day. And I would sit there. I was everyone's life coach. I was everyone's manager. I was everyone's sales trainer. I fixed everyone's problem. I was a human version of a Google search engine. Was that my people's fault or was that my fault? It was my fault. Why? Who trained them to do that? I did. I just didn't know. I thought I was being a good leader. So then I remember one day they would call me and I'll say it's Johnny. I'll say, Johnny, go, hey, Grant, what happens if the person moves for this, that, and the other? Instead of me giving the answer, I would simply go, well, what have you done to check with so far? What have you done to figure out that answer? Well, I haven't. I just called you. So, okay, well, what do you think the answer is? And they give the answer typically. Or they go, I don't know, I'm calling you. I'm like, well, look, I want you to think for yourself. What do you think it is? Is it this and this and this? I go, exactly. Next time that happens, I want you to check here, check here, check here. And if that doesn't work, then come to me and I'll be happy to answer. And it irritated that person, but who stopped calling me every single day? That person. Why? I trained them to start thinking for themselves. This is key and you cannot grow without it. All right, so let's talk about handling problems. Cannot scale and delegate without learning how to handle problems and most importantly, prevent them. Because we want to keep solving the same problem over and over again. Okay, so here are 6 questions that you can ask yourself to solve crisis and problems and most importantly, eliminate it. Okay, number 1, what is the actual problem? You're like, well, Grant, what does that mean? A lot of times things that people show is the problem is not actually the problem. I'll give you an example. When you have let's say a single person or a couple group of unhappy employees, usually the thing that they say is the problem is not actually the problem. Okay, so for example, let's say you have someone that's unhappy and they go, yeah, this person in finance always has this and blah, 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 blah. Hey, why do we have to come early? I have to take my kids at this time and I don't like this and blah, 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 blah. And they're complaining. But when you talk to them and you dig deep, a lot of times the actual problem is that they wanted to work remote and they're mad they didn't get a remote job. Or the actual problem is they're making $70K a year and they're upset because they're stressed and they're barely able to cover the rent and they have no extra spending money. So if they were making $125 a year, not only would they hire a babysitter, but they wouldn't care what the lady in finance is doing because they'd be so happy because they're actually having fun on the weekends. See what I mean? So find out what is the actual problem and you usually got to peel back layers. That's a small example, but that's something you got to keep in mind. 2, what is the worst case scenario? Finding out the worst case scenario and accepting what could go wrong is such a freeing feeling. It'll give you peace of mind and it will let you know what the floor is. Next is, what is the best case scenario? All right, what could go great? When you know this helps you see the potential upside and plan around it. Okay, and then 4, what are the possible outcomes, right? And also, when you do these and you solve these problems, I always recommend talking with someone that is not emotionally involved in the problem. So they give you practical reason. Because a lot of times when we have emotions involved, we over heighten the potential issues and the problems that could occur. Okay, and then number 5, is there a plan to prevent this in the future? Do not be a Band-Aid manager. Which means you put a little Band-Aid here, you put a little piece of tape here, you put a piece of tape here, and then the whole thing collapses. You have to prevent the problems from occurring in the future. I'll give you an example. Early on in residential solar, we would have a lot of customers because they would go meet with 3, 4, 5 different solar companies, we close them. They have all that information in their head. And after they've met with all these different people that kind of all sound similar, they would get confused. So we have some people that call us and go, "Hey, what the heck? You were supposed to give us a $300 Costco gift card. This is BS. Y'all lied to me." And I'm like, "What? We don't give out Costco gift cards, and none of our reps do it." And what was actually happening is there was another company that worked in Costco that ended up sending an appointment in Hulk, and the older customer just forgot and assumed that that was us. And they would go, "Hey, I thought we're not supposed to lose power if we don't have a battery. Y'all lied to me." And our sales reps know that this is not the case, but maybe another sales rep from another company told them this. So what we did is we said, what's every complaint or question a customer has ever had? Let's put it on an FAQ sheet and send it to them via text and via email, and then also on a recorded call, go through every single one of those items line by line by line, even if it takes another 20 minutes. And then not only did we get less problems and less questions, they dropped over 70%, but when we did, they'd say, "Hey, you told us that you got a Costco gift card." I'd say, "No, well, pull up your text messages real quick and pull up this email. See right here, there is no rebates or gift cards included." And they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "I'm happy to send over a recorded call, QC call that we did also with you as well." And they're like, "Oh, I must have been confused with another person." So we're eliminating the problem. Why? Because we set expectations. And all we did is we got all these problems and we're like, how do we get them to stop? And then how do we prevent them in the future? Okay. And then last, this is the most important thing. If you forget everything that I talked about today, only remember this last one. Then I train someone else to handle this next time, right? As a CEO and as a business owner, you do not want to be spending all of your energy resolving continuous problems or being the Band-Aid person that puts it on everything. You want to teach people how to critically think and problem solve. And this is typically going to be a high level hire. This is someone that has high stress tolerance, that has problem solving skills, and can make decisions without going to you, unless it's obviously escalated. Doing all this together will change the way you do business. And ultimately, will help you delegate, focus on the right actions, the right behaviors, and will make your life better. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, comment below, and make sure to share with a friend who runs a business so they can also save 5 years of their lives so they don't have to be miserable like I was until I finally learned it. And if you guys love the channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you're a business owner, I just started a private community with over 200 CEOs. I want to give it to you completely free for 7 days. Just hit the link below. Other than that, always rooting for you guys. Hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.